Hello everybody and welcome back to another tutorial. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this carousel cuff. We're just going to be making a single layered carousel cuff. This video has been requested a handful of times, so I thought I would go ahead and post my own version of it. Are you guys so proud of me? I've been measuring. Okay, so we are going to start with 116 inches of a 1 millimeter stretch string. This is a rough estimate. Starting with my stretch string, am I going to measure right now? No, because I really don't like to. I measure when I first make them for you guys, and then after that, that's where it ends. For this tutorial, I highly recommend a cloth stretch string, just because it really holds its shape a lot better than a clear elastic. However, there is nothing wrong with using a clear elastic if it's all you have or you prefer to use it. Then use it. Just know that it might not hold its shape as well, and inevitably plastic does dry rot. Now for EDC Las Vegas, my fiance got me these like duck beads. So another duck project, if you saw my mini rotating cuff, that was a duck project as well, but I'm gonna try my best to use these. Now here is another reason why I do not like to give you guys exact measurements and pony beads, is because everyone's wrist is different. But if you are following along exactly with me, then this is how many pony beads you're going to be using. But everyone's wrist is different. So we're going to be starting making an X-base cuff. I do have a tutorial here on how to do this. I'm still going to go over how to make an X-base cuff. I'm just not going to get in crazy detail. So if you've never made one before, I highly recommend checking out this tutorial here. Okay, so we are starting on our X-base cuff. Again, I'm making this a single layers. For my X-base cuffs, these are the patterns that I use. So we're going to be continuing this pattern all the way down. For me, I'm going to be doing a pattern of 10 of these beads. So I will stop once I have met 10 beads. If you are following along with me, this is the part where you are going to pause and then play when you are ready again. Okay, so I have now completed my pattern. I have up to 10 of these orange beads, which for the video, I like to call my stopper beads. Now I'm gonna tie this off like a normal candy single. So if you were using plastic elastic, I would double the amount of ties that you normally do. So, all right. So I gave mine about 4 or 5 ties. I'm gonna cut off this tiny tail here. We are gonna start on our first layer. So our string should be in between one of our stopper beads and our 2 pattern beads here. If they are not, you're going to need to weave your string to make sure that they are in between these beads. So if your bead is here in between these 2 brown beads, you need to weave over once to get in between these 2. We want to make sure that we are going in the direction that our string is sticking out of. So for me, my string is sticking out in this direction, so I'm going to continue going in this direction. I'm going to be doing a pattern of 3 beads. For this, it can be any color you'd like. There's no right or wrong. For me, I'm going to do my brown, my orange, and my brown. And that is going to be these beads here. Once you have your 3 beads strung on, we are going to weave it into the stopper bead next to us. So we're just gonna take our string and we're gonna pull. And I'm gonna make sure that as I'm going, I'm pulling on my string pretty tight. I'm not going like, yeah, to the point where my string could snap. But I wanna make sure that I have about like a slightly more than a medium tug, just because this is what keeps its shape. But if we pull too tight, then there's gonna be no stretch. Then you won't be able to get it on and off your wrist. I'm going to stop filming and I'm going to show you what to do at the very last step. If you are following along with me, this is the part where you are going to pause and then play when you are ready again. Okay, so I'm coming up on my last step here. I'm gonna be adding on my 3 beads, just like I was before. And I'm going to weave it up through the orange bead just like we were before, but I'm also going to be weaving it up through this brown bead and up through the point. So we want our string to be sticking up through the point. And I'm going to pull. Okay, so now we are going to continue up and we are going to do this part here. For me, I chose all the same colors, so I'm just going to continue on with my pattern. It's going to be just like before, 3 beads, and then we're still going to be weaving into that orange bead. For now, it is going to be that point that is sticking up, and we are going to pull. And we are going to continue this pattern going all the way around the cuff. This is the part where I am going to stop filming. I'm going to continue my pattern going all the way around until the very last step, and then from there I will be showing you how to close off our X-base cuff. If you are following along with me, this is the part where you are going to pause and then play when you are ready again. Okay, I am on my last step for this row. I'm going to be continuing with my patterns, and just like before, I'm going to be weaving into that orange bead here, and then I'm going to be weaving it up through the brown and then up through that orange. So we want our string to be sticking out on that point. And we pull. So now we're going to be going ahead and closing off our X-base cuff here. So it's going to be these beads here. For this, I'm going to be adding 2 beads of any color onto my string, and just like before, I'm going to be weaving into those orange points, and we pull, and that's going to start pulling our X-base cuff together just like that. This is where I am going to stop filming. I'm going to be continuing this pattern going all the way around until I get to the very last step. If you are following along with me, this is where you are going to pause and then play when you are ready again. I am coming up on my last step here. Just like before, I'm going to be adding my 2 beads of any color and weaving it into that orange bead right there. We are going to pull. And we have completed our first layer of the X-base cuff. The next thing that we're going to be working on are these points. So if you've made my UFO candy cuff tutorial, or if you've even seen my mini rotating cuff tutorial, this part's going to feel really familiar. So the first thing that I'm actually going to do, and this is not necessary, I am going to go ahead and give this a tie just to preserve the tension that I have on the actual wrist piece. So what I do is I go around and I kind of loosen it up a little bit, and then I tie it, and I give this 3 or 4 ties just to preserve the tension. So this is just how you would normally tie off an X-base cuff. And again, this is totally not necessary, just something that I like to do. Okay, so with my string sticking out of this bead here, we are going to go ahead and start adding our first layer of points. We are going to need 5 beads for this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 blue, a white, and 2 blue. I'm going to take my string and I'm going to weave it in to the orange bead right next to us. So direction's important. So we don't want to go backwards. We want to make sure that we're going in the direction that the string is sticking out of. So for me, it's sticking out this way, so this is where I'm going to weave. And I'm going to go ahead and pull. And I'm going to pull this pretty tight because this is going to be about the foundation of our carousel cuff. I'm going to go ahead and do this again. So I'm going to add 2 beads, my white bead, and 2 more of my blue beads to make 5 on my string. I'm going to weave it into the orange bead sticking up right here, and I'm going to pull. And I'll show you how to do this one more time. I'm going to add my 2 blue beads, my white bead, and 2 blue beads. And I'm going to weave it into the orange one directly next to us. And I'm going to pull. And you see how I'm wrapping this around my finger? I'm pulling this pretty tight. Alrighty, my friends. This is the part where I am going to stop filming. We are going to continue the pattern going all the way around. I will start filming once we get to the very last step. If you are following along with me, this is the part of the video where you are going to pause and then play when you are ready again. Okay, I'm coming up on my last step here. So still adding those 2 blue beads, a white bead, 2 blue beads, and I'm going to go over into the orange bead here, but I'm also going to go up these 2 blue beads and my white bead, so that would be my point up there. And we're going to pull. We have our first row of points. Now we're going to go ahead and add our second layer of points. So that's going to be these around here. So for this, we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to be adding 5 beads onto my string of any color. So for me, I'm going to be doing a lighter blue and a white. And I'm going to weave it into the point over here. Direction's important. Just like before, we want to make sure we're going in the direction that our string is sticking out of. So if we take our string and it goes like this over the bead, we are not going in the right direction. We're going to make sure that we're going this way. I'm going to take my string with my beads loaded on and weave it through that point sticking up, and I'm going to pull. And I'm pulling tight. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing again. So I'm going to add my 2 blue beads, my white bead, and 2 blue beads. And I'm going to weave it into the next point and pull. Just helping shape it along the way. When we add our columns, it'll 100% help straighten out and pull the points forward. So if they're a little bit loppy like this, it's okay. They'll get fixed in a bit. Just make sure you're pulling on that string tight. Okay, I have my 5 beads loaded and I'm going to weave it into the point sticking up next to it. Okay, and we are going to continue this pattern going all the way around. This is the part where I am going to stop filming. I'm going to continue my pattern going all the way around, and I will stop at the very last step to show us how to do our bottom row. This is the part of the video where if you are following along with me, you are going to pause and then play when you are ready again. Okay, I am coming up on my last step here with my beads loaded on. I'm going to weave it into this white bead here, just like before. Now, our next step is we need to get this string down here to create another row of these. So the way that I'm going to do that, we are going to do this together and we're going to do this in steps because I know that this can get a little bit tricky. The first thing we are going to do is determine what direction our string is going in. If we take our string and go over the bead like this, this is not the direction that we are going to be going in. We want to make sure that we're going in the direction that our string is sticking out of. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to weave my string backwards into those points back here. So for me, it's going to be these 2 blue beads. Okay. And I'm going to pull. And remember, we're pulling that string tight. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to weave it into my orange bead. And we're going to pull. I'm going to make sure that my string is going downwards. So mine is kind of sticking up, but we want to make sure that's facing down. We are going to take our string and we're going to weave it diagonally down. So we're going to be weaving it through beads number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Weaving it through bead number 1, bead number 2, bead number 3, and bead number 4, and pulling. I'm going to flip mine upside down like this just to make my life a little bit easier. And we are going to do the exact same thing that we did down here, up here. So I'm going to go back to my darker blues. I'm going to go ahead and load up my string with beads. I'm going to be doing the exact same pattern. And just like before, I'm going to weave it into the orange bead right next to us. And again, remember, watch your direction. We want to make sure we're going in the direction that our string is sticking out of. And I'm going to pull. Remember, pull the string tight. I say that and mine's sagging. All right, I'm going to go ahead and load up my string with my 5 beads again, weaving it into the orange bead right next to us and pulling. And pulling the string tight. And I'm going to show you how to do this one more time. So we're going to load up our beads, our 5 beads, and we're going to weave it into the orange bead right next to us, and we're going to pull. So we are going to continue this pattern all the way around. This is where I'm going to stop filming. I'm going to start filming again once I get to the very last step, and then we will go ahead and add on our second row of points. If you are following along with me, this is the part of the video where you are going to pause and then play when you are ready again. Okay, I am coming up on my last step. I have my 5 beads loaded. I'm going to weave it into the orange bead just like before, and then I'm also going to weave up these 3 beads, so my 2 dark beads and my white bead. We want our string to be sticking out of the point. And we pull. Okay, now we're gonna do what we did down here, but up here. Just like before, I'm gonna load on my string with 5 beads. So for me, I'm gonna do my light blues and my white. And I am going to weave it into the white bead sticking up here. And I'm gonna pull. We're gonna do this again, so I'm gonna load on my 2 blue beads, my white bead, and 2 blue beads. And I'm going to weave it into the white point sticking up here, and I'm going to pull. I'm going to add on my 2 blue beads, my white bead, and my 2 blue beads again, and we're going to do the same thing and weave it into the white point here, and we're going to pull. We are going to continue this pattern going all the way around. I am going to stop filming, and I am going to start when I get to the very last step. And then I will show you how we start adding on our columns. If you are following along with me, this is the part of the video where you are going to pause and then play when you are ready again. All right, I have my beads loaded on, and I am going to weave them into this white bead here. And then we're going to go up these 3 beads. So we want to make sure that we're sticking out of the point, just like we did at the bottom row. And we're gonna pull. Okay, so now we have the base done, and all we have to do from here is add on our columns. So to get started on our columns, I'm gonna go ahead and add 3 pony beads. Any color. For me, I'm just gonna do these clear ones. Now, direction's important here. We're going to assess the direction of our string. So for me, mine is sticking out this way, so I'm gonna go down this way. Okay, so I'm going to take my string with my 3 beads on, and I am going to weave it in this direction of the pony bead directly underneath, and I'm going to pull. And I'm going to pull tight. Now, I'm going to take my string, and I'm going to go back up these 3 pony beads here. And we're going up this way, through our 3 beads, and now we're going to weave it into this side of the beads. So wherever your string is sticking out of originally, where you started the weave, we're going to go the opposite way. So I'm going to weave in this way, and I'm going to pull. So as you can see, that's going to loop everything together. And I'm going to pull this really tight. That will create our very first column. If you're still not understanding, I would recommend that you watch a few steps ahead just so you can kind of see it a little bit more before you attempt. So what I'm going to do from here is we're going to do the same thing but on the back of this bead here. So I'm going to take my string and I'm going to weave it in to these 2 blue beads back here. And I'm going to weave it into this white one here. And I'm going to pull. And I'm going to pull tight, because pulling the string tight is what keeps your cuff up. Now, once again, I'm going to add 3 beads on. With my 3 beads on, I'm going to take my string and I am going to weave directly underneath to this white bead underneath of it. So the same thing as before. So my string is sticking out of this side of my bead, so I'm going to weave on this side, so right underneath of it. And we're going to pull. And we're going to pull tight. Now I'm going to take my string and I'm going to weave it back up through those 3 beads and then going in this direction through the white bead. And then we're going to weave in this direction of the white bead, and we're going to pull. And remember to pull tight. So you can see that's going to loop it and lock it in place. All right, so now we are going to take our string and we're going to weave it back through these two beads and up through the white bead. And we are going to continue this going all the way around. I am going to show you a few more steps because I know that it can be quite confusing. For me, I am going to add on my little duckies at this point, but it's not going to change anything. I'm going to be doing 4 mini pony beads and then my ducky. Now, once again, we're going to be taking our string and we're going to be weaving it downwards into this white bead here. So I'm going to pull, pull, and now I'm going to take my string and I'm going to weave it back up through my pony beads I just added, just like before. All right. And with all my pony beads strung on, I'm going to now take my string and I'm going to weave it back through this white one. So now I'm going to take my string, I'm going to weave back through these 2 blue beads here, back through the white one. We're pulling tight. And now we're going to go ahead and add on our 3 pony beads onto our string. So I forgot I didn't have my microphone on. I don't know what was missed and what wasn't. I'm going to go ahead and I have my 3 beads loaded on and I'm going to weave it down into the white bead underneath here, taking my string, going through the side here and pulling, and then we're going back up through those beads and then going this way through the white bead. So going up through the 3 beads here and going through the side of the white bead and pulling. And I'm going to show you one more round of these. So taking my string, going through the 2 blue beads here, going through the white bead and giving this a pull, adding on my 3 beads, weaving it through this white bead, going through the side. Okay. Weaving it back up through those 3 clear beads I just added. And weaving it back through this white bead going in this direction. And we pull. Going back through these 2 blue beads here. Going through the white bead. Pulling our string through. Adding on our 3 clear beads. Taking our string, making sure it's in between. Weaving it back down through the white bead directly underneath of it. Pulling. And weaving back up through those 3 clear beads. And then through the white bead, remember going in this direction. And pulling. And pulling tight, because these are your structural support. Okay, my friends, so I hope that that made sense. We're gonna go ahead and continue doing this pattern going all the way around the cuff, and then I will start filming again once we get to the very last step, and then I will show you how to tie off your cuff. If you are following along with me, this is the part of the video where you are going to pause and then play when you are ready again. All right, I am coming up finally on my last step. This took me a very long time to do. These cuffs are definitely very time consuming. Okay, so I have now officially completed the final column of my carousel cuff. I kind of regret doing brown for the back. I was like, oh, a pond, the bottom of a pond is brown, but I don't really like it, but it's whatever. We can't change it now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tie this off. The way that I'm going to do that is just like how we did for our X base cuff. I'm going to take my string and I'm going to loop it underneath these two beads. Nothing special about it. I'm just looping my string underneath these two beads. I'm going to shimmy my string kind of like back between here, between my white and my blue bead. And this is going to create a big loop. I'm going to take my tiny tail. I'm going to pull it through that big loop, and I'm going to pull, and I'm going to pull tight. And I'm going to do this again. So I'm going to do this about 3 or 4 times. If you're using plastic elastic, the more ties, the better. All right. And now I've completed tying it off. I'm going to cut off my large tail. And ta-da! We have our ducky carousel cuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helping anyone who is looking to learn how to make a basic carousel cuff. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. Feedback really does help this channel grow. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave them too, because this video, just like a lot of others, were based off suggestions from you guys. I'm going to go ahead and put my email up here. If you'd like, feel free to send me some of the creations that you've made using my tutorials, and I like to put them at the end of the video. Alrighty, my friends, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Bye-bye!